What's going on? Welcome to the BeatHunter Dance Talk Show. So I've done this as a podcast. I've done this as a YouTube channel. But now this season, we're really diving into what it means for the BeatHunter Dance Talk Show to be a talk show. So first things first, my name is Joel Casanova. I am a professional dancer, a choreographer, an instructor, and I am the creator and founder of BeatHunter Dance. Fun fact, BeatHunter Dance was actually started in 2016, which means that we are in the 10th anniversary year of BeatHunter Dance being in existence. So it's super cool because I have like a business son who's turning 10 this year, which is cool. BeatHunter Dance actually started off introducing a new way to look at dance, right? I saw everything that we have been doing as dancers, how we were teaching, what we were doing, where we were going, and the reasons why we were doing it. And after having done it so many different times, I realized that there has to be a different way to do this. Like there has to be a new way we can go about being a dancer. Specifically, go about being a dancer in a way that suits myself and suits you and suits them, right? Like just because I decided to become a dancer doesn't mean that my journey should look just like the dancer right next to me. In fact, it's actually the opposite. Because I'm a dancer and I am at the center of that sentence, I should be looking different than the person next to me. And so that developed and evolved into writing new curricula, original curricula that I created, creating different inventions and tools, like physical tools that teach dance in a new way, and really carving out a space for people to dance as themselves. No matter what age they are, no matter what skill level they are, no matter what their goals are in dance, regardless of what they decide to dance for, it should be as themselves. So even back in 2016, I had an idea for a talk show, and it's been growing and developing, and I've been tearing it down and rewriting it and writing it again and tearing it down and rewriting it again. And after 10 years, I realized that there's a difference between training and education, right? So training is the actual dancing that we're doing, the training of our body, which we'll actually get to later in this talk show, in this episode. But education has to do with the mindset. The mindset is how the person thinks about dance, how they make their decisions and choices, how they decide to do one thing or not do that thing, or take a turn in their journey or not take a turn in their journey. It all has to do with your mindset. So education deals with the mindset. It deals with the person behind the dancer. Because dance may be a tool. Actually, no, dance is a tool that you can use to do a lot of different things, but you, the person, are driving. So your mindset is the most important thing you could possibly sharpen. Like training and dancing and skill will come and go. Like you can get training, you can train by yourself, you can get instructors or mentors, but your mindset is really what's making the decision. It's driving the car. So this talk show exists to help you and your dance journey be healthy, efficient, and 100% yours. Okay? Healthy, efficient, 100% yours. It does not need to be dysfunctional. Your dance journey does not need to be hurtful to you. It doesn't need to be moving at a snail's pace or in a way that makes your mind confused, right? It can be efficient, and it should be and can be 100% yours. You are at the helm, right? You are driving the ship. Your decisions in your dance journey should be yours. It shouldn't be under the influence of other people's, at least other people's that don't have your best interest in mind. So, that takes us to the topic of this episode. Why a dance journey? Why use the phrase dance journey? That's what this whole talk show is about. And you're going to hear the phrase dance journey 1.5 million times. And it's super important. It's at the center of all of the conversations that I'm going to be having. So, in order to figure out why we're using the phrase dance journey, you have to go with my definition. And my definition is very thick. Like there's a lot to it. And it's important because it touches so many different elements in life. Okay. So a dance journey is the relationship with, skill in, and role of dance in a person's life. Okay. Relationship with dance, skill in dance, and role of dance in a person's life. And we're going to break down all those parts now. Okay. So your relationship with dance, that's the first one that comes because that's where we're introduced to dance for the first time. And it's not just like an artistic phrase. It's not just like oh, that sounds really good. It's really important to think of dance, think of your relationship with dance as a real relationship you have with another person, right? It can start, it can end, it can hurt you, it can heal you, it can shift purposes, it can grow and develop and take on new nuances to it, right? If you are introduced, actually let me start there. The episode that comes after this, we're going to be talking about a dancer who started off dancing very young, right? So her family introduced her to dance, and they were playing music around the house, and they were dancing, and it was just a normal part of life, right? Her relationship with dance started then. My relationship with dance started when I was 11, right? I knew what dancing was, but I didn't really know what dancing could be, like choreography and classes and dancing around my house and listening to music just for the purpose of dancing to and expressing myself. 11 is really where everything kind of took form. Or even another girl that I know that she was in ballet, and as we started talking, she was like, yeah, I love ballet, don't get me wrong. This is a different girl from the first one. And we were talking about how she did ballet all the time. And then she said this thing, and she was like, don't get me wrong, I still love ballet. I just can't do it anymore. She kind of started expressing that it was like taking a toll on her mental health. And I was like, okay, that's not what dance is. Or if you want to see it as a person, that's not who dance is. So however you're being taught, it's changing your relationship with dance. So her relationship with dance had become toxic, essentially, to herself. And so it doesn't necessarily need to be that. So that's the first element. The second element is your skill in dance. So that's the first one that everyone thinks about immediately when you think of dance, right? Like, how good are they, or how bad are they, right? Which, as a side note, I always get frustrated because people ignore my question. Okay, I'm like, hey, do you like dancing? I ask people all the time, like random people that I don't even know. Hey, do you like dancing? And immediately they say, 9 times out of 10, they say, oh, I'm awful at dancing. I'm like, you didn't answer my question at all, right? How good you are in dancing versus if you like dancing, your relationship with dance are two separate things. And so if you dance, you will get better. That's just a fact of life. The more you do it, the more you will get familiar with the skill of dancing, right? It's like walking, riding a bike, brushing your teeth. Like, it becomes habit. It becomes in your DNA, right? But that means your skill in dancing is specifically to your body, right? So how you think and how your body moves, how tall you are, short, how heavy you are, how light you are, dancing is a tool that uses your body, and vice versa, right? So your body is very specific to your skill in dancing. So you can learn dance and grow in your skill of dance in a way that fits you, right? So instead of like going through this confusing process of having to translate what someone is telling you and then reword it so in a way that makes sense to you and then learn it, you can learn in a way that is efficient, right? One of the points of this talk show, right? So also, your body is part of your identity. So dance has to use what your body is and looks like, at least at the moment. For example, there's this dance company of people who are specifically in wheelchairs, right? They're in that situation in their lives, but they didn't allow what their body is to stop them from dancing. Right? In fact, they have a full company. Like, they have workshops and conventions and classes that they give and teach and performances that they do as dancers. They just happen to be in wheelchairs. Right? So they are now changing how they're learning and how they're dancing based off of their body. It's a very physical expression of yourself. Which goes to the very last one, which is the role of dance. If you see your life as like a hierarchy of things that make up yourself, there are things that are really significant to you, really important, and really like core parts of who you are. And the further down you go, you get into things that you do sometimes, or you don't do very often, or are less significant if they're somewhere in the middle, right? Dance fits in one of those levels. For me specifically, even if people don't know my name, a lot of times people know me as the dancing guy. Dance is a very significant part of my identity. I do it for a career. I do it for fun. I do it for community. I teach people. I make my living from it. Like, it's a very core part of who I am. But I'm also a son. I'm also a brother. I'm also a Christian. I'm also a music maker. I'm also, I like longboarding. Like, just other things that I do in my life. They're all layered, but dance is very high in my hierarchy of things that make up Joel Casanova. Okay. Regardless of where it is, dance doesn't need to be less valuable. Right? Dance is as valuable as you want it to make based off of where you put it. Right? But dance can still do all these things that it inherently does for you. You can still have like stress relief. You can still get fitness from it. You can still grow in it. You can still teach through it. You can still get community from it. You can still express yourself and release some emotions, like some pent up aggression, even maybe, right? Like, what dance does inherently, even like the mental focus, it does regardless of where it is in the hierarchy, as long as you're doing it, right? So if your priorities puts dance lower on your level, that doesn't make you any less a dancer or any less part of the dance world. You still have a dance journey. So, also, as a side note to before we transition, your life will evolve in the same way that your dance journey is a continual moving thing. It's like a living, breathing thing because it's part of who you are. So that means dance, in that hierarchy, dance can also change positions based on where you're at. For example, I didn't start dancing until I was 11. So I didn't even think that dancing was on the list of things that I could do. I turned 11, I discovered dancing, and then it shot to the top, right? That's the beginning of my specific dance journey, right? Yours might go back down. Yours might come back up, depending on who you are and where you are in life. Which goes to the very last thing, which is a person's life. Remember, the definition that I gave was your relationship with, skill in, and role of dance in a person's life. That's such a key phrase because dance was never meant to be self-sufficient. In my personal perspective, dance is a tool. It's a vehicle that takes you places and does things for you, but it has a purpose. Like I said, community, emotional expression, mental clarity, fitness, health, cardiovascular strengthening. Like, it has so many different things that it can do. And creativity, how did I forget that one? Creativity is like, expression of creativity is a huge one in dance. So a person's life is the umbrella. You have a life, okay? And you have a bunch of small things that are hanging underneath that umbrella. One of them is dance. And as a professional artist, as a professional dancer and choreographer and instructor, because I allow my life as a person to be filled with a bunch of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual experiences, those then feed into my dancing and make my dancing twice as good and twice as fulfilling, really. So when we look at it, you have to have a life beforehand. Not like you have a life, get a life, right? I'm saying like you do have a life. You are a person. And that personhood filters into dance. And then that gives it the shape that dance should have. Somewhere along the road, we switch these two things, right? We have this phrase in dance, and as like a dancer that with other dancers, like dance is life, right? And it's funny, and it's we're expressing how much we love dance, but dance is not life. We have a life, and dance is part of it. So somehow we thought we had to somewhere along the road, we changed it so it's like, oh, I have to change myself and what I'm like and who I am to be a dancer. And it's completely the other way around. Dance conforms itself to your life based off of what you use it for. And as someone who is trying to introduce a new way of looking at dance and carving out a space for people to dance like themselves, I have discovered countless different people who are using dance for a completely different way, and they kind of are hesitant. They're kind of like, this is what I want to do with dance. Is that okay? And I'm like, yes, of course it's okay. If that's what you want to use dance for, then it will do that. If it evolves and changes into something else, let that happen organically. Just dance for fun. And then one day you're like, you know what? I actually want to do a competition. Do it. Dance will then change its purpose for you and what you want to do in your life. Okay? Which goes into what I said earlier, training versus education. So the talk show is part of my education piece in BeatHunter Dance. I'm specifically trying to help your dance journey be healthy, efficient, and 100% yours. That deals with the mindset. That deals with who you are and how you think about dance as a whole. Training happens afterwards. And if you go to my website and my Instagram, you can DM me on Instagram or you can go to my website. I have a musicality class that's happening specifically for hip hop that's happening February 2nd. I'm going to put that information up in a second. But as someone who is owning this business and is carving this path for people to follow along and find their own journey and own their own journey in dance, I have training and I have education. And I think if you do both, those things will be so supplemental to each other that in your training, you're building your mindset. Or if you're just building your mindset, you can get training so you can apply it. And so if you go to my website and go to my Instagram, you'll see information about a hip-hop musicality class that's happening February 2nd. And that is a live stream that I'm going to be doing every week after the talk show, probably in the evening, actually around 7 o'clock, so that you can build the muscle in a training sense after you have developed your mindset in a mental sense, right? So to do both would be super awesome. And it's also open to all ages and all skill levels. Regardless of where you are in your dance journey, you can jump into this class and gain musicality training to help you in dancing hip hop, because that's what I'm trained in. That's what I specialize in. So I'm going to put that information up in a second. This is going to happen every week around the same time. And I'm super excited to show you all the people that are coming next. If you take nothing from this, know that your dance journey is yours. It can be healthy. It can be efficient. It can be 100% yours. And I'll see you next week.